Right. Great. Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Very good. Okay, great. So I'm just going to share two pictures before we start. So we're going to now go into the not away from them. We'll still use this kind of idea of the spiral line through the body, but actually looking at spiral movements through the forms now. So this is a great picture. I found this yesterday with Saito Sensei. So there's some really obvious forms in that you'll know from Aikido that are really focused on spiral movements, and this is a Tenshinage. Oh, not that one. That one. So this is a Tenshinage type, but this is a great picture, I mean, for balance as well. So super rooted, and both hands kind of spreading out, full extension. Very nice photograph. So we'll look at a few of these movements, and then I found this photo is a really interesting one. This is from a book by Morihei Ueshiba, so the second Dojo. This is a really great photo. So it's a technique shot from above, spiraling in. Can you guess the technique? I don't know if you can see it. The quality is not great. This is so this is a kaitenage technique. This is an Ushiro Ryotodori kaitenage, full kinonagare technique. And then this middle picture is all the photographs put into one, but it's a nice layout. They kind of organize it in a kind of Fibonacci spiral sequence. Really nice. Okay, so let's see. So we'll just start basic tiny henko. So you've obviously got different levels of this, but the main thing we'll just focus on now is this idea of the spiral coming out from it. So something coming out both sides. So we've obviously this idea of spiraling to the ground and spiraling up to the top of the body. So what I want you to focus on, just with a more basic tiny henko, this idea of coming into the center line here, and then extension out this way, expanding out. So you've got to drop into the body and then a spiral here. So you got extension on both planes, down and up. So we just focus on that first, this idea of the down, the up, lengthening through the spine. Here, here, in. Give it a try. Just look at it. Let's see. And the arms can start to be kind of traps for it, so we end up with some things like this, or the arms get pulled out, or this kind of thing. So just forget the arms for now. Okay, forget the arms for now. You're just going to let them coil into the body here, coil into the body here, and then really feel that the center line kind of throws them out. So you've got this movement, and just let them kind of close into the body, and then connect into it, let them roll out. So you're looking for this idea of kind of coming into the center and then expanding out of it. Into the center, expanding out of it. You've got this kind of motion. So again, this kind of expansion on all planes, which is kind of core of the spiral kind of work. Yeah, so similar thing starts to happen from the weapons as well. So this idea that the shoulders get pulled forward and the center kind of empty. So it's quite easy in this position to go into something like this kind of position, again to that position. And now here the center's kind of empty, and the shoulders kind of start to take over. So you just feel with this one as you go in, really think about just kind of dropping the weight in. But yeah, the shoulders should feel kind of loose here in this kind of position. So you're engaged in with the body, you're not kind of static, you're not kind of pulled into a vertical kind of position. But really focus on the kind of dropping the center in, dropping the center in, dropping the center in, dropping the center in, and then kind of find the next movement. So you drop the weight in, drop the weight in, drop the weight, go into the spiral, or the rotation. And the weight, drop it. And the weight.
Can I
Roland, go ahead.
ask something? Michael, can you say something about shifting the weight into the feet? How in this movement?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, it's a good point. Yeah. So you've got the same kind of dynamic that we did before with it. So I need to kind of feel an empty. So in this case, this foot takes the weight, and then again, I'm kind of freeing this side of the body. So this side anchors, and then this side starts to coil out this way. You've got from this draining in, press it out this way. So yeah, again, you've got the interesting dynamic that the first thing is the back leg comes in, and the front hand presses in this way, and then coiling to the front. This one, then go into focus. So you've got again the opposite hand, the foot pressing in, shift the weight, coil it this way. So just come back now into the hands with it as well. Find the extension. There.
Great, thank you.
Got it. Good. Okay, we'll go Morihei. So again, just to get into it. So find your extension both hand, sink the weight in, you're spiraling in this way, and then spiraling out. Dropping in, find a spiral. Okay, good. So just one really specific thing with this. I want you to think about the center of this part of the arm, so that right in the center of the forearm. What we tend to do a lot is kind of use the arm in a way where it's kind of flat. It kind of moves through space, but nothing's actually happening in this area. So this kind of corky work stuff, what you're looking for is this kind of spiral to pass through. So imagine a point in the forearm. You've got these two parts, two joints on either side of it. You've got the elbow, and you've got the hand and the wrist. So think about this and its ability to move and manipulate this way. So this point can stay static, but if I've got flexibility in the joints, all this motion is kind of available for. As soon as I lock it to the arm, this motion's kind of denied. So look for the ability here. Just play with this, but this ability to coil the arm, basically. And you're looking to basically coil it from the forearm. So you can obviously coil the elbow. I can coil the wrist. But what you're looking to do is kind of coil them together. So if you look this way, the elbow and the wrist are basically opposing each other from that central point. So the elbow goes one way. We do this all the time when we do bottom work. So the elbow dropping and the wrist raising. Elbow drop, wrist raise. So we're working this kind of connection all the time. And in the case of kokyu work, this kokyu work, you're looking for these, for that connection to really become like a spiral. So the other way you can do this is think about bottom work this way with the hands. And then rather than just that arc up and down, start to spiral it. So the connection becomes this. So that same dynamic, but much more circular. That. But again, the key thing with kokyu work is not about pushing in space. It's about rearranging the structure into, in this case, spiral patterns. Yeah, it's kind of feeling. That's it. Yeah, and the other way is just think about kind of grasping at either the wrist or forearm and just think about coiling around it. So we're constantly using these. If you think about katatedori techniques or any kind of wrist grab, think about you're really kind of coiling the joint underneath it. But the main problem is I can't move this. Imagine this is locked. This is locked and I can't move it. So what I've got to do is mobilize everything else. So that means dropping the elbow, raising the wrist, and then I can reorientate my power around the grab. So this is tricky on your own, but you want this kind of feeling. But you want to feel. Yeah, there's two ways also you can think about spiral. You can think about outside spirals or external spirals, which is like the shape of the movement. So that if the arm's moving and the spiral's kind of moving in that pattern. But also think about internal spirals. So the core of the structure is spiraling as well. So I want to feel a spiral actually passing through this hand. So there's a movement in the arm internally, which is coiling. And that's where we're kind of coming back to this kind of Tai Chi circulating picture. We've got these kind of coils through the structure. So you've got that, and you've also got the actual limb spiraling in space. So you've got always these kind of two things happening. So all Aikido techniques have this kind of structure through them. And some of the spirals are really obvious. And some of them are a little bit trickier. You've got the limbs coiling internally and actually coiling through space as well. Exactly. Just come back to that first portion. You can do this either with your hand or just with a jaw. But you want to kind of get a fixed point in it. So you've got this kind of structure. Again, what you don't want to do is any kind of pulling or pushing. So you're looking to drop the weight in. I drop the weight to the center line, drop the elbow, drop the hand, and then just this coils through. So you can do it with a jaw, or you can also do it just with your hand kind of here and kind of fix it. And you're looking to come in here and then coil through. Drop in. Coil through, so this coiling through with your shell. You've got this and also resistance bands are great for this, so you get kind of feedback through as well. This is a nice one because I got a static target and I let the body kind of mold around it. That's the first portion of the spiral. So we'll just go to one variation of this. This is both hands. So the Ryokudori grab. You use this same motion from the Tanhenka, so this kind of fold in. And the outside hand's going to extend this way. So you've got two spirals happening, dropping in this way, dropping the core in, and then this hand comes in this way. So you're coiling up to the core here, and then this coils out from the core, and then you come into this position here. So there's two variations of this. One goes inside or outside. They basically follow the same pattern. This, and then this coil through the body. And then once you've got that, pull underneath it, open it out. In, coiling out. But all the time you've got this spiral happening through both hands. Winding in, winding the body out. That's so you've got this like inner coil through the body, and you've got this spiral happening in the actual movement itself. Good. Pretty good. That's So Lewis always tells this story sometimes about Saito Sensei in the dojo when he was teaching or when he was taking class, when people were doing Taina Henko and Morotodori Kokugo, you kind of look at Saito Sensei is in the corner and there's a pillar in the dojo, and he would just be on the pillar and he'd just be doing this, dropping the weight into the pillar, this kind of feeling. So connecting to a wall and basically just dropping the center in this way. So this is the main thing from this hockey work is this idea of not that it's pushing, pulling the person, but that it's basically reorientating the center around it. And this idea where the technique becomes kind of irresistible. So you're working with, the main reason we're working with spirals is because they're unpredictable and hard to resist in terms of patterns of movement. So just play with this one, it's just the outside hand for it. You're going to again take the wrist with it, take the forearm with it. So you've got in this pattern, this movement here. Just give yourself a little bit of resistance here and think as you come in, it's not about pulling this hand out, but it's about reorientating the center around it so that I can get my structure underneath it this way. So you're looking to take the outside hand as you come in, and then think about this, and the center wants to get underneath it. So it's that same idea of like if I attach to a wall and I drop the center in, but you're doing it in a way like the opposite thing now. You're going up with it. So we've got this kind of pattern. But again, that rotation through the forearm, and this idea now of coiling up into it. So you've got a little bit of weight into it, and then coil on the whole structure into it. That kind of like, and then coming into this one. Just float, which gives yourself a bit of resistance with it. Okay, it's about reorientating the body around the grip or around the attack, or pressure, whatever it is, whether it's a wall. So we'll go to one of the really obvious spiral techniques that we've got in the system, which is so just with this one hand, it's like we do a category one. Just focus on the front hand, so don't worry about the back hand. You adjust that to the side here, and then this is where you've got this really obvious spiral going from this position, sinking into this leg and spiraling the weight down. And again, that spiral comes through the forearm. This, as you drop the hip in, there, and you spiral to the back. And so you're stepping out to the side, drop this weight underneath, this and the whole system now is coming into a spiral. Through, you enter, and you roll to the back. Big spiral, you come through this. Don't worry about the throw, just the entry. So you've obviously got the other side of this, which is I'm using a spiral in order to kind of impart it into the other person. So the same thing you're doing with the weapons, whether it's the Bokken or a Joe or whatever. I'm trying to impart movement of the hips into the weapon this way. So I'm looking for that same thing here. So just think about as you do this. Think about as you do this, the effect you're trying to create on the person. So what I'm looking to do is get to the side and then coil through the structure. So in the same way that I'm looking to stabilize my structure through that spiral, I'm looking to destabilize the person's structure this way. So I'm looking to really destroy that structure in the body so that it splits away from it. And the key thing is deny them the ground. So that structure is basically going to take them away from the ground. But at the same time, I'm looking to ground my body and get that spiral this way. So the key says this: if I just move the arm in a flat way, it will just move like that. So what I need to do is use that coil in the arm to trap the structure. So you're looking to get wind my structure, but wind the other person's up as well. I'm trying to wind them into a technique. So I go here and then this. I'm looking to wind the structure, wind the structure, wind the structure. And then once I've got that, continue it. Wrap them up and cut into the ground. So the key now, just think about that. Do it. But again, it's led from the center. Hand expresses that spiral. So, that's it. So we'll just do one variation on this, which just increases the movement a little bit, brings the spiral in a little bit more. So with this case, this one, the first one's like that. With this one, as you go out, raise up that hand this way. You get it underneath the structure. This underneath here, raise it to the top. Now from here, you've got a big arc in, spiral through, and then you're touching this way. Okay? So you raise at the top, get the hips in, and then coil the whole structure inside. Everything comes in, grounds into this leg. One, two, one, in, change, one.
Is this Shionage?
Yeah, this is Shionage.
This is Shionage, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That's it. Good. Just also bring an emphasis in this one. This is a nice one, and this really leads into a kinonagari technique. But think about now the outside hand. So you focus on this one coming up. What you're doing now is this hand cuts in, this hand takes over, and now this hand takes also the spiral. So this hand does this motion, this motion. So it's like that. It's like a kind of slicing with a sword, with this extra feeling of taking this spiral and continuing it this way. This would also lead you into an atemi into the ribs this way. But you've got this. Now think about that hand taking over this leg and this hip together with that hand, dropping in, and winding into it this way. So just bring your attention into the back hand now. Yes, exactly. Right. So we'll come back to the Shionage, but just kind of separate out some movements now. This is from a Ryotadori, so double-handed grip, both hands being held. Working with the Shionage. This technique you can only do in flow because once I've been gripped with this, it's hard to get the Shionage out. So what I want to think about is just either hand. I can use either hand with it, but I want to think about two movements. You either go to the inside here and spiral it, or you go to the outside here and spiral it. So if you imagine this like a sword work, you've got a cut which goes in this way, or you've got a cut which goes in this way from the back. So it's basically spiraling with a kind of slicing movement with the hands. You either step in with the back leg, slice it, or you coil with the front leg and slice it. And just play with the arms here, keep them nice and light. So you've got this motion, or from here, this motion. This way, okay? You're either stepping in back leg, coiling in, or stepping from the front leg, coiling in this way. So just two ways to find the rotation. Back side or front side.
Yeah, Urimi and Tenkan. Is this like Urimi and Tenkan?
Yeah. It's like an either Tenkan or an Urimi Tenkan, basically. And you would either deal with one of the arms in this case. If you imagine someone coming in with the grab, you're either dealing with the outside hand or the inside, taking it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah. just to be a little bit specific with the hand whip, there's a kind of rise and fall with this one as well. So there's a few techniques you can kind of work from this. You can also go into a kind of continuation from this really easily. But for the shinai like this, just think about as you go in. If I go with the back leg, this raises up in that same way that we've just done here. This raises up, this raises up, and then from here as you cut into it, you're cutting down with it. So there's a kind of raise up with the body, and then as you go into the rotation, slice down with it this way. Okay. The same on the other side. As you go into this one, there's a raise up, and then as I rotate, there's a slide down. Okay. So this is kind of spiral motion again. Think about the elbow and the wrist basically working together. They go in a kind of opposing direction. So the elbow lowers as the wrist goes up. As the wrist sinks, the elbow goes high. This way. Not that it goes high, but it goes higher than the wrist in relation to the wrist this way. Got this, and this. So again, you're constantly working this kind of spiral through the forearm, this connection. Forearm. So. Perfect. And then just start to bring the movement back in with the Shihonage. So you've either got, again, coming from the outside, coming in, cutting through, finding the technique, or rolling from the outside, coming up, cutting through, finding the technique this way. You're coiling in, keep it going. Come to the back, open it up, coiling this way. So really kind of winding the feet. And if you want, you can also open this out to configuration. So this just opens right up. This, and I wind to the back, and I wind in this way. Good. Okay, we'll go to Kaitenai. So it's the most obvious spiral that we got in the system, and really relies on spiral with hold. I've not got a grip on for a long portion of the technique, especially with the Uchi variation, and it's basically relying on my ability to pass spirals through the system, and again trap the person in spirals as well. So we'll go just focus on one hand to start. So you're going to come out to the side here. You step through the back this way, and rotate the body here. Come up into this position, and then from here you're cutting this leg back, drawing the arm down, and then you're stepping through with the spiral here. Just one-sided, don't worry about the other for now. This, stepping in, change the direction, and then you spiral back here, and then pressing in. Here, this, back, and in. Okay, so with your other hand, just place it on the center. So the key thing again is that your ability to rotate spirals around the structure. So spirals around your structure or pass spirals out through your structure. It's a really easy one that I get lost in the outside. I'm actually pivoting now around the hand. So my body kind of pivots around here. Try and get a sense as you do this. Put the hand on the center. I really feel that everything's coming out here. This stays the kind of locus of the movements here. This, and then here, this. So all the movements kind of happening around here, and the periphery becomes much less important, but in ability to connect from the core. So this, connect the core to that. Connect the core in. So you really want the core to be passing that spiral out. That's it. Here. Good. And then we'll discuss the function of the backhand. So you've got two functions with the backhand. It's to strike with your technique in the beginning, and then to take the head at the end of the technique. So as you come in now with this move, this strikes in. Yeah, and then as it comes through, its second job is as this hand cuts in and to the back, this hand's going to come in and take the top of the head. Okay? And pin the top of the head, basically. So you've got the strike with the hand, and as you come in, this, as you cut down, this hand comes up, cuts down onto the top of the head, and then draws it in this way. Okay? And you're pressing. You've got a strike and a press down on top of the head. That's good. So sometimes this translates as like rotary throw or wheel throw or something like that. But it tends to focus on the outside. So it tends to focus on a movement that's like the arms kind of do this kind of movement. And it's kind of right in a way, but if you look at the original idea of this technique is basically to twist the person's structure in and then either just drop them down or strike them with the leg as it comes through. So if you're looking to actually, rather than like wheel them around, which is what we do sometimes, like it's a nice way to do it. Think about, in this case, actually you're twisting them around. So I'm looking to actually compress the structure in. So this hand serves a real function, which is, as this one cuts back, is to find the head and basically drop and roll it this way. So as this hand's extending over with the arm, this hand got the head and it's basically twisting the structure up. So what you're looking for in the actual, if you were to kind of apply this thing, is to basically twist the structure inside itself. Okay? So it forms as a kind of trap. So originally it's just a kind of entanglement technique. And then kind of release them out. But just look, the last few as we do this, you've got these hands basically working together. So as one's coming down, one comes down. As this one comes down, this one comes up. You've got this kind of movement. If you want to apply this, you basically just do this to the head, straight away to the head. So Kaitenage is a quite a hard technique, but I just take it straight to the head, forget the arm. But the core of this technique is this idea of coiling someone into a spiral that the structure just can't deal with. So pretty much that. Okay, last one we'll do is a really compact version of it. So this one comes from a ski. So it's someone coming in with a strike. What you want to do with this one is basically use that front hand that you did before to basically drop into the arm this way. So as they strike in, you're cutting the elbow down, and then as the head drops, you're cutting the top of the head down this way. It's a really very direct technique, but you basically got this position as the strike comes in, you come to the side. This comes out, and then you drop the weight here. As you find that, you shift the weight back, and then you're following this way. So you're looking to drop weight in, drop, you capture the head, and then you coil behind them. So this is a example of a really kind of compact spiral. This way, and straight onto the head. Drop the structure in, line. A really tight spiral. This kind of motion happens. This. That's it. Again, the movement's coming from the core. The core's winding it up. That's it. That's the one. That's it. So again, you're kind of letting the core, you're letting the limbs kind of relax through this. So the main one with this is just kind of drop the weight here. So as you do that, this kind of drops in, this drops in, and as it does, that captures the head this way. So that you've got this kind of motion through the body. But I need the core basically dropping in this way. So it's a drop. As this one comes up, this one drops. So you've got it's like a kind of drop of the weight. So this. So it's really soft, but it's very heavy at the same time. The movement's soft, but the effect of it's heavy. Drop off. So that's.
Das war eigentlich ein Schild. Tension,
In the last couple of minutes, just below this exercise, you're basically working from a winding a core spiral. So like this kind of motion, like the one we just worked on, which is like this kind of spiral. And then just play with kind of taking into motion. This way, so you're kind of winding the body. And then the key is this kind of motion happening. Arms are quite soft. And then just think about starting to kind of bring in the extension. So starting to kind of bring open the extension. Now, you can take this anywhere you like, fits into like tension nage, or the techniques we've done today, like Shihonage, Kaitenage, but just play with this idea of this kind of compact spiral. But yeah, coming back to this kind of spiral line across the body, this kind of core line, which is again looking to balance the body across all planes. Just kind of wind the body in and out. You come to extension, or you need to be really grounded. So it's that spiral moving from a kind of central axis, expanding out and down. Just kind of pushing it out, play with compacting it. All the time playing with that kind of coil through the body. It's a really useful exercise if you ever deal with wrestling. People trying to grapple with it, people kind of wind the body around. Wind. We can use a Rumi Nage, Ikkyo, all these techniques. Got huge spirals in it. Yeah, and the other grabs that we've not dealt with today, think about the Ishirowaza. So if you know the Ishirowaza, these got really great spiral work through them. So that's another kind of portion of the syllabus, which is really kind of also expanding the direction. And think about that. And coiling in all directions as you do it. And that's a couple. Okay, great. We will stop there. So, if you've got any questions or anything's not clear, just let me know. Let's basically looking at spirals. So the main thing here is again, these kind of spiral lines which should run through the body. These are really useful, like just as a kind of visual aid for the body and like in terms of balancing across the structure. Normally, when we're working with a lot of the time we're working like the same side structure. So you're working like left foot to left hand or this kind of stuff. And this spiral line kind of draws attention to this idea of like the cross structure across the body. So opposite hand to opposite foot. When you're working spiral movements like we've just been doing, this is really important. We're often kind of crossing the body. That's one of the difficult things to do is kind of balance the structure out. It's very easy to lose one side of the body if you do it. So it's pretty much it. And the other side is this idea of using the Kokyu spiral that we're using all the time to kind of generate power and basically generate an irresistible movement that can't be resisted. And and the other thing is like big spiral, external spirals through the technique. You say like Ikkyo as an example, like a big spiral through the technique. And also this idea of actually coiling the structure internally. So I'm doing that with my own structure and I'm trying to achieve that in the other person's structure to weaken their own, or to lock the structure up. If you look at like an Ikkyo, for example, you really wind into the structure, lock it up, and then I can apply force to it. So that's basically
I wonder if you, also with Tai no Henko,
Yeah.
I always wonder, I think in order to be able to connect the attack to the center, yeah, you cannot like offer your arm like that.
Right, exactly.
So actually it has to be pretty close. And I think what often happens is that people will take your arm and somehow pull it out further. If there's a height difference between the two persons.
Yeah. And this is also the thing with like, also the Serena's just gone, but we were dealing with this idea is also like when you've got a really big height difference, then I need to adjust the technique because I have a natural amount of extension, which if I exceed that natural amount, I'm coming out of my own structure. And then I'm putting myself out of the ground. So, and that's a really obvious example. Like I offer like that, I'm straight away out of structure. And then asking the body to spiral from the core and control it's impossible. So it's the same with the weapons. I need to be extended, but I can't be pulled out of the structure. So again, it's coming, and those like really simple, like this kind of exercise are really really simple exercises just to get into that idea. If I do that exercise like this, it's impossible to do this really with the center because I'm out of balance. So that's the key to this stuff. This is why all this spiral stuff we hardly ever really, well, we talk about it, but we hardly really go into it. Because most people are out of balance all the time, or where I'm out of balance. If I'm out of balance, I can't use spiral structures automatically because if I've denied the ground, I can't use a spiral. I can't work it. So that first step of like really getting into balance or getting into better balance, then that I can use the structure. But it's like as soon as I'm in this kind of positions, I can't talk about spirals if I'm stretched out. It's just it won't go anywhere. So pretty much. Okay, great. So very good. Okay, we'll bow out. We'll take a bow out. Yeah, anything else? No. Great. Domo, arigato. Domo, arigato.
Arigato gozaimashita.
Great. There we go.
Thank you.